LeBron, breath heavy, shaking. I'm not afraid, but I feel something I've never felt before. This is different. The moment LeBron James stepped onto that Cleveland court in a Miami Heat jersey, everything fell silent, just for a brief, piercing moment before the chaos began. The crowd's roar rose up, a thunderous wall of resentment, a chorus of boos, a manifestation of years of loyalty turned into pure rage. The people turned their backs on him, held up placards, screamed messages of betrayal. The atmosphere was thick, heavy, oppressive. You could feel it in your skin, you could taste it in your mouth. This was not just a game. This was a showdown forged by fate. LeBron tried to keep his emotions in check, tried to pretend it didn't affect him, but deep down, it gnawed at his confidence. His knees felt heavy. His grip on the ball was not as steady as it usually was. His first few shots fell short, bouncing off the rim, adding to his growing nervousness. His first pass was intercepted, fueling the crowd's glee. The people cheered every miss, every turnover, not just for their team's defensive prowess, but for the downfall of their former king. Across the court, the Cleveland players tightened their defenses, bumping him, forcing him outside his preferred spots. Each physical encounter was a way for them to say, "This is our territory. This is where you fell from grace." The pressure was immense, not just from the opposing team, but from the ghosts of the past, the promises made and the promises broken. Meanwhile, high above in the stands, legends like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson exchanged glances that spoke volumes. They recognized this moment for what it truly was, a moment that would define LeBron's character, a moment that would be replayed for decades in highlight reels and stories passed down through generations. Michael tightened his grip on the armrest. Magic fell quietly forward, resting his chin on his knuckles, their hearts understanding the pressure, the fear, the chaos that was threatening to overwhelm him. LeBron tried to calm his mind, tried to silence the chorus of doubt within him, because deep down, he knew he was battling much more than just a team. He was battling his city, his past, his future, his own ability to redeem himself. This was the moment that would determine whether he fell under the pressure or rose above it. The moment that would shape his legacy forever. Dwayne Wade, with concern and urgency in his voice, "Bron, keep your head up. We're in this together. Don't let them break you." LeBron tightened his grip on the ball, knuckles turning white, as he nodded quietly, a silent vow not to break. The chaos from the stands was growing, the boos morphing into a thunderous wall of pure rage, but something was shifting within him. His confidence was slowly resurging. His pulse, which was previously racing, began to stabilize. His senses grew sharper, his resolve steeled by a deep understanding. He was not alone in this battle. He started to attack the basket with a newfound aggression, slipping past a defender with a smooth crossover, then soaring gracefully for a thunderous slam. The crowd fell briefly silent, a momentary pause in their chorus of disapproval. His teammates rushed toward him, bumping chests and offering high fives, a show of unity forged under immense pressure. Wade placed a steady hand on his shoulder, whispering, "That's it. That's how we do it. Keep going. Keep trusting yourself." LeBron kept delivering. His subsequent shots fell through the net, each adding to his growing momentum. A step-back mid-range jumper fell gracefully. A tough drive through two Cleveland defenders drew a foul. His free throws fell effortlessly. The box score began to reflect his growing influence. Points adding up, assists dropping to teammates, defensive stops made at crucial moments. The crowd's energy turned more aggressive by the minute. The taunts grew sharper, more piercing, filled with resentment and a deep feeling of betrayal. Signs calling him a coward, a traitor, a sellout were raised high in the stands. Some fans turned their backs, choosing not to watch him conquer their team. Some screamed in pure rage. But through it all, LeBron kept his focus, letting his game do the talking instead of reacting. Inside, a fire was growing, not a fire of resentment, but a fire of affirmation. An affirmation that he belonged at the highest level, that he could conquer whatever came his way. Across from him, Cleveland's players tightened their defensive pressure, bumping him, denying him space, trying to break his rhythm. This made each shot more difficult, each pass more improbable, but LeBron remained poised. His mind was clear, his confidence growing with each made basket. Suspense filled the arena. The big question on everyone's mind was this: would LeBron break under the pressure, or would he conquer it? The answer was slowly, decisively starting to come into view. LeBron, between heavy breaths, his voice firm, full of resolve, "I'm not going down without a fight. Not tonight. Not in my own past." The moment had arrived, the showdown that everyone had been waiting for, the showdown that would define not just the game, but the rest of LeBron's career. The clock was ticking down, each second heavy with pressure. The score was close, within a few points, and the momentum was up for grabs. All eyes were on him. All hearts were wrestling with nervousness, disbelief, and hope. This was the moment when legends are made. LeBron pressed forward, driving toward the basket with pure aggression. His powerful stride forced two defenders to collapse in his path, but he rose above them, extending his arm gracefully, and finished with a thunderous slam. The rim rattled, the backboard shook, and for just a moment, the hostile crowd fell into a shocked silence. His teammates rushed toward him, bumping chests, screaming in affirmation. This was their moment, their turning point. Across from him, a former teammate, someone he had gone to battle with many nights before, tightened his jaw, a fire ignited in his own soul. The two exchanged piercing glances, a silent showdown forged by loyalty, friendship, and eventual conflict. The defender tried to match him stride for stride, bumping him, denying him space, adding physical pressure. But LeBron kept his balance, kept his discipline, kept his will alive. Tempers began to flare. An aggressive foul drew a heated reaction from both benches, with players and coaches briefly stepping forward. A riot barely kept from boiling over. Security rushed in to ease the chaos. The referees forced to separate the two. Emotions were raw, pure. You could feel every bump, every drop of sweat, every ounce of pressure weighing down on both teams' shoulders. This was not just a game. This was a battle for redemption, for dignity, for a chance to redeem oneself in the face of overwhelming criticism. LeBron fought through it all, refusing to break. His shots fell with a kind of icy confidence, a calmness that seemed improbable under such immense pressure. His teammates fed off his energy, turning up their defensive pressure, forcing Cleveland into tough shots, turning the ball over, and slowly wrestling momentum back in their favor. The crowd, meanwhile, grew even more frenzied, a mixture of disbelief, rage, and awe. Everyone in that arena knew they were witnessing something special, something that would be replayed and dissected for years to come. The moment a superstar faced his greatest doubts, his greatest struggles, and came out forged by fire. This was not just a showdown. This was a transformation. LeBron, talking quietly to himself, his voice firm, filled with pure resolve. Just a few more minutes. I can do this. I must do this. The clock was ticking down, each second feeling eternal, each moment adding weight to the showdown that was already forged in fire. The score was close, the pressure immense, but LeBron kept his pulse steady, his mind clear. His team turned to him in their greatest moment of need, and he answered that call with pure, raw, and relentless will. He began to dictate the game, not just with his scoring, but with his creativity, his defensive prowess, his ability to make everyone around him better. His passes darted through tiny seams in Cleveland's defense, turning their tight coverage into an opportunity for his teammates to score. His defensive stops, a well-timed block here, a crucial rebound there, kept his team alive when everything seemed to be falling apart. Each possession was a battle, a showdown, a moment upon which the future would hang. The crowd hostility grew to a fever pitch, a chorus of rage, disbelief, and pure resentment. Some screamed in pure agony, unable to comprehend that their former superstar might conquer their team on their own floor. Others turned their backs, choosing not to watch, not to be a part of this moment. The rest remained, reluctantly, forced to witness the magic that was unfolding in real time. Across from him, Cleveland's players fought with everything that remained in their bodies, trying to fend off the growing momentum. But it was already too late. LeBron had ignited something within him, something elemental and pure. His team drew confidence from his calm under pressure, his ability to make the big plays when everything was on the line. They fell into their routines, trusting their training, trusting their leader, trusting each other. The ball flowed from player to player, the defensive rotations fell a step slow, and the scoring opened up just enough for the Heat to break through. The legends in the stands, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and even Larry Bird, exchanged glances that said more than words ever could. This was a showdown for the ages, a moment forged by conflict, controversy, and pure competitiveness, a moment when a superstar chose to become something greater. The clock continued its descent toward zero, adding urgency to every decision, every pass, every shot. LeBron fought through the chaos, through the doubts, through his own struggles, proving with each stride, each basket, each defensive gem, that he belonged at the very top. This was not just a game. This was a transformation, a moment that would define his legacy. LeBron, with tears in his eyes, his voice firm, yet vulnerable, "I proved I'm not a coward. I faced my greatest fear, and I came out alive." The clock struck zero. The final buzzer pierced through the thunderous chaos. And just like that, the showdown was over. The team rushed toward LeBron, their leader, their warrior, the man who chose not to break under pressure, but to conquer it. His teammates fell into a group embrace, a moment forged by loyalty, trust, and pure perseverance, a moment that would be a permanent fixture in their collective memory. LeBron slowly turned toward the crowd. The chorus of boos grew even more piercing, a raw manifestation of resentment, disbelief, and wounded loyalty. But LeBron stood taller, his chin raised, his heart full. Because in that moment, he knew he had faced his greatest fear, the fear of letting down his city, his team, and himself. And he hadn't faltered. Instead, he had become something greater. He had become a legend forged by adversity. Across the court, journalists pressed forward, eager to capture his reaction. Players exchanged handshakes, some reluctantly, some warmly, a silent acknowledgement that something momentous had just transpired. Legends like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird nodded quietly from their seats, understanding that the game was not just a showdown. It was a transformation. This was the moment that forged LeBron's character, the moment that made him more than just a superstar. It made him a symbol of resilience, a standard against which future players would be measured. His struggles, his doubts, his disappointments, all fell away in the face of his ultimate triumph. The game, and the moment within it, would become a turning point in sports history, a tale that would be passed down from generation to generation. As LeBron walked back toward the tunnel, away from the hostile crowd, away from the blinding camera flashes, he held his head high. His stride was firm, his spirit unbreakable. Because this was not just a game, this was a transformation. This was the moment when a man chose to conquer his fate instead of letting it conquer him. LeBron James, the superstar, the warrior, the vulnerable yet courageous man, had come full circle. From the moment he first stepped back into that hostile arena, unsure and vulnerable, to the moment he walked away taller, proud, and forged by fire, he had become something greater than he was before. This was not the end, it was just the beginning.